Hi, it's Shelly and Jason Martinez with another kitchen conversation. And what we wanted to do for this one is I received quite a few questions recently through my website. And so we just wanted to talk about 3 of those questions tonight. So the first one is, why does it hurt so much? And this was from a wife as she was coming to terms with everything her husband had told her, as far as when he told her the truth about what he'd been doing.
Do you want me to speak to that, or you want to speak to that? Actually, can I say something about that real quick?
Yes.
One thing I just want to mention on that that's really important is, it doesn't matter what the betrayal is, the level of hurt is individual.
Yeah.
Right? So just because it was only porn and not infidelity doesn't mean that it hurts less, doesn't mean that it feels like less betrayal. Mm-hmm. Right? And so one thing that I find guys do is that little comparison. Why is she so angry? I didn't actually cheat on her. They do that stuff. Mm-hmm. I also find wives do that. Like, I shouldn't be this hurt. It was only porn, or it was only one woman, or it was only, right?
Blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What do you say to that?
I think that's so hard. I have a friend that was told, a gal told her, she said her name and said, "Please don't judge my pain." And my friend was like, "Oh, wow." Like, kind of like, "Ooh, that really hit home to her." Mm-hmm. And I so agree with that. We cannot judge each other's pain. Who knows what, my story is and what I've been through, and that's how what's happening here will affect me. Mm-hmm. Same with anyone else. And I tell you what, women that I work with, I would say there are things about women that their husbands are looking at pornography that I can tell it hurts them so deeply. And so I don't think that's fair to compare. Mm-hmm. There's a gal that I know, and she said, she was in one of my groups, and she pointed to a gal and she said, for you, it's one woman that you're worried about. For me, it's every woman in every picture and every advertisement. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and part of the reason it hurts the way it hurts is because of what that woman is bringing to the situation. So I say sometimes at Every Man's Battle, and in my office, some guys are going to pay for abusive fathers and uncles, for absent fathers, for ex-boyfriends, the first heartbreakers, mm-hmm. for abusive and unfaithful ex-husbands. Yeah. I mean, there's so much coming to bear on that unique situation, mm-hmm. that for those wives individually, the pain is, it's what it is. It shouldn't necessarily hurt less because it's a function of what they're bringing to that moment.
Right, definitely. So back to the question, why does it hurt so badly? When I emailed this gal back, I said, well, one, you tell me, why does it hurt so badly? And then I shared with her, I said, I think there's so many reasons why it hurts so badly, but one of them for me is that I was so naive and truly thought you only had eyes for me. You were my first boyfriend. I felt like we had something so pure, mm-hmm.
And some of that was my facade that I was putting on.
And so I just thought an affair, infidelity would never happen to me. It would happen to this neighbor or that neighbor, sure, whatever, but not to me and not to my marriage. So I think that's one reason for me that I can answer. And then when this gal emailed me back, she said that she was like, okay, well, part of the reason it hurts so badly for me is that this has happened before. This has happened in my past. And I pretty much walked away from that relationship and didn't deal with it.
Didn't go through a grieving process, didn't find a resolution there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's great that she was able to recognize that and start to work on, okay, why does this hurt so badly?
Yeah.
But I think even if that hadn't been the case for her, it just hurts. There almost doesn't have to be a reason, right?
Totally.
It's so painful for wives. So painful.
So
personal.
for guys, I would say honor your wife's pain. You may think she's blowing it out of proportion, but you don't get to make that judgment call. It's her pain, right? Yeah. Okay, question number 2.
And that's a great life lesson. We can use that in so many areas. Just recognizing like, oh, I can't judge your pain. There's just so many areas of life where we're like, oh, where we judge other people's feelings.
For sure.
And we don't know their story or what they've been through.
For sure.
So, yeah. Okay, second question. How do I know there will be change?
Yeah.
And I think the first answer for me is you don't know. We don't know. And it comes down to I can work on me and I can change me with God's help, God willing, but I cannot change you, right? And vice versa.
Right. And one of the things that helped our relationship in those early days was you deciding, I can't change you.
Right.
And I'm going to be okay if you choose not to change.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that kind of freaked me out. Like, this isn't rehearsed, so we haven't talked about this. But it kind of freaked me out. Like, really? Oh, crap, she really doesn't need me. I mean, financially, you didn't need me. On a number of fronts, you didn't need me.
Mm-hmm.
But relationally, it was like, oh, wow, she really doesn't need me. If she's going to stay, it's going to be because she really wants to be with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think during that first year, I just got to this place where I realized really only God could I trust and that I would be okay in the end, even if I didn't have you, even if we got a divorce, if you chose not to be faithful to me again and again. However that looked, I knew I'd be okay because I had God. So, I was able to kind of surrender those expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And really wait and see if God would change you and if you would allow that change.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important to put a couple of markers out there.
Okay.
Right? So a couple things that wives can look for at least. Okay. Right? Anything come to mind for you?
I would say the 2 words that come to mind, first one is humility and contrition, but I'll focus on humility.
Okay.
So I think a huge change is whenever a husband is able to completely be humble when the wife comes, when I came to you and said, I need to talk about this again for the 50th time.
Today.
Yes, today. And you said, okay, let's talk about it. I think that's I saw a huge growth and huge change just in that, and being humble when I needed to continue to process and talk about it for the 100th time. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
And I would say for wives to look for guys to be initiating the hard conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a sign of change. So there's a little bit of, sometimes there's some confusion. Wives will say, well, my husband's not afraid of conflict. But getting in conflict and starting a fight is way different than looking at your wife and saying, let's talk about how I betrayed you.
Yeah.
Let's have that conversation at dinner, right? Were you triggered today? Did I hurt your feelings today? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So change, an indicator of change would be, is your husband bringing it up? And guys kind of, it floats around this vernacular, ripping the Band-Aid off.
Oh, really?
That's what a lot of guys will say. Like, I got to be the one to rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah, you got to be the one to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes. It's like the elephant's in the room.
Totally.
And the husband, the onus is on him to bring it up.
Right.
As you're talking, I'm imagining a man hiding behind a bush, you know what I mean? And not wanting to, let's just not talk about it, versus a man that walks out from the bush and is like, okay, let's talk about this.
Yep.
Kind of owning it,
Totally.
That's huge. That's huge for a wife. I think that provides so much. One, it shows change, but it just starts laying those seeds for trust and respect and everything.
Totally. Okay, in the essence of, in the name of not having a super long video, let's stop there and we'll come back with another one and answer other questions.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for joining us in another Kitchen Convo.